to the Bailey Effect. I am Shiante,
I'm James.
and again, we are the Bailey Effect. We are here to talk about what things relating to marriage, family, relationships, all of that in a nutshell. Uh, we're here because we want to inspire and motivate those who would like to be better versions of themselves, to listen in to some tips, and also some encouragement to let you know that it is absolutely possible for you to go from whatever level you are into a totally different level. We have gone through a lot being married now for 15 years, being parents now for 12 years. So we just take this time to like impart some things. Sometimes it's just going to be about what we're going through right now. Sometimes it's going to be about what we've been through. But all of it will be real and it will be truthful because that's what we think is a part of making a smooth transition and going into places that you may not have been able to access before. So, I guess we should just jump right into the topic for today. Our topic for today is talking about short term separation.
Mm-hmm.
So, that can mean a lot of different things, right? It can mean as simple as your spouse or your significant other going away or out of town to like literally separating
Right.
and like living in two different households or somebody living upstairs and you're living downstairs. We wanted to talk about all of that, right? And so I guess we'll just dive into the easiest. I don't think anything is easy about being separated from somebody that you love.
No, I think that we did the short term separation things many a times. I traveled a lot for work when we first moved back to Georgia, so I missed a lot of things. I would be in New York, New Jersey, Nebraska, South Dakota, Florida, places like that. And it was short term, 3-4 days at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Like probably every 3 months I was gone. South Carolina, North Carolina. But it gets to a point where it takes toll and you don't want to travel like that anymore. So then it came time to walk into a new realm, which is catering school. And at catering school, they like to go on field trips. So we found ourselves the last 2 years, 1 year, Shiante being in Charleston, but then the next year, me being volunteered to go to one of the most horrific places I've been to in a long time.
Okay.
On a not a bad scale. This is just joking. I think the
But it
kids had
wasn't
fun,
pleasant.
but it was not pleasant for me. As someone who went in the military, who both of us who've gone through the process of dealing with military training instructors and MTLs and DIs and stuff like that. We went to this, Huntsville Space, Aerospace, and whatever Space Center, and we had little people walking around thinking that they were MTIs, yelling at 11, 12-year-olds with chaperones. So it was a very interesting situation being separated for 3 days.
Yeah.
3 days.
Not full 3 days.
Not full 3
days. Y'all
days.
left Monday morning at like 7, I guess.
Yep, 7.
And then y'all got back Wednesday.
Wednesday at about
Yeah, so I guess it was 3 days.
about 4:30.
Thursday would have been three full days. Thursday morning, so like 2.5-ish days. You were back in the bed Wednesday night.
Wednesday night.
Yeah, so you only missed 2 nights at
Yep.
home in your bed. But so like okay, so you talked about work, you talked about travel with school, travel with sports. That's another one.
Mm-hmm.
Where sometimes we haven't had to do away, but we did have to recently do a tournament where you were having to be obligated. You obligated yourself somewhere else. You committed yourself somewhere else, and so you had to meet that commitment.
And then I had to get to y'all.
Yeah, so for that it was a little bit of a separation, about 2.5 hours away, but we ended up together by the end of the day. But I think that any form of separation, like I said, especially when you're used to, we're a couple, we're very used to doing things together. Like, we like traveling together, we like eating together, we like shopping together, we just do a lot of things together. So when you're asked to be separated for anything, whether it be for work, sports, school, sickness, we dealt with that.
You dealt with that,
We
yeah.
dealt with me having to be in the hospital for multiple days, like 5 days at a time.
10 days at a time.
10 days at a time, just like separated. These short little separations, and they say absence makes the heart grow fonder. What's your thoughts about that particular quote?
I think it does. Sometimes, okay, so how can I put this? It depends.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it depends, because sometimes when you're in a committed relationship, and you have a spouse or a girlfriend or boyfriend, sometimes, separation can grow you, and it makes you realize that what you have ain't that bad. But sometimes separation can lead you into separation.
Yeah.
It just depends on how you look at your. Everybody has a standard of life of living that they want to live,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems like now, so more so ever, standards are starting to change.
Mm-hmm.
So with standards starting to change, people are starting to say to themselves, maybe I need a short-term separation to figure out what I need long-term. And sometimes in those short-term separations, it tends to, instead of working on yourself, you tend to working on you instead of working on yourself, you work on what you see going on in the current environment versus working on what you need for yourself.
So you don't think that absence, you are saying that it can go one way or the other. Like
It
it can
go
either
where-
work for you or it won't work for
It'll
you.
work.
It just depends, I guess, where you are mentally.
Yep.
And because I think that sometimes breaks are needed.
Yep.
Because you just might be a little worked up. You might need some time to like process things. Then you gotta ask yourself, what does a break look like? What does that? I mean, because we considered it sometimes, but we just realized that whatever we got going on, we just gonna figure it out
Right.
together.
'Cause
I mean, and we did. We figured it out together. So for us, separation, we only are separated if we have to be separated. If it's a choice, we choose not to be separated.
Because sometimes in those separations, let's be real, like, in life, you have people that don't want you married and you have people that do want you married.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the people that don't want you married are attached to you closer than the people who do want you married. So if you go on break, quote unquote break, sometimes those people who are close to you that don't want you married tend to get in your head and make you go and, do some crazy stuff. Make you
While you're separated, you're saying?
Yeah, while you're separated, like
Mhm.
you're on a break or whatever.
Yeah.
They make you think that, oh, girl, life out here is great.
So let's hash this out. What are some positives you think, or some pros to separation
Well,
of any kind?
So this is what I'll say. Okay, so separation.
What are some pros?
Some pros about separation. So for me, right, I'm a fisher. I I haven't been hunting yet, but I do want to go hunting.
You keep saying that.
But
we like to do things together. I'm just letting you know. I'm not going to be hunting with you.
That's fine.
Just to put that out there.
You'll go hunting with me depending on what it is. You might want to go shoot a deer or a quail or something like that. Like I want to do
What makes you think that about me?
I'm just saying, like you've done it. Look, I've introduced you to playing basketball. And then we went and shot guns together. They ain't no different from you like shooting a rifle. I'm just saying it can happen. But for me, the way I look at it is like if I'm going away for a break, I don't have to be with people per se. I could be with my homeboys. I could be with people I grew up with. But like for me, if I need to go have a breakaway, a short-term separation, to think.
Mm-hmm.
And I always tell Shantae this, I like to be in nature. So if you don't like to be in nature, you can't really be around me when it comes to me like going and doing my separation time. I like to fish, I like to do all the different types of things because a positive about going out and doing those things, even if you believe in God or you don't believe in God. My sister used to always tell, my sister who passed used to always tell me that the closest you'll ever get to God without touching him is being in nature. Because all the trees and all the fish and everything that are around you, they give you opportunity to actually sit and think and meditate. So that's a positive about being out, going on a separation time. But again, it depends on who you have around you, because you could have some people around you that just don't understand who you are because you've grown. So some people may think, oh, I need to get separated so I can go and live my life based off of what I feel that it should be. But some people literally go out to get a clarification on what life they want. So if I want to be a millionaire or 100,000aire or whatever, that's just making up stuff, I will go out and have a conversation. Or I will go out and have a time where I can think about ways to get there, versus going out and taking a million shots and hearing things like, man, you don't need her. There's plenty of fish in the sea, and or what's the Beyonce line from Lemonade that she had everybody saying, what is it?
Oh, I don't know.
I forgot. Beyonce said something that everybody was saying, but then you got people talking about hot girl summer. So like, there's all these different things that people tend to think that separation, that's what you're supposed to do, but it's really not. So pros is that my pro for me is going out and being able to think and understand, because I'm older now, being able to think and find ways to strategically align things versus going out and just having to go crazy. Because I ain't looking for nobody else. So that's the difference. Now, if you feel like you need to look for somebody else and you need to test the waters on a short-term separation, then now we got something. Because here go a con. You come back pregnant or come back with kids. That's your con.
But STD.
STD.
I mean, yeah, and like I said, we're talking about now
short term.
If you do not have a choice, I mean that you do have a choice. Sometimes you don't have choices.
Yeah, sometimes you don't have choices.
You have to be separated, and that's challenging enough, right?
Right.
When you don't have choices and you have to be separated, and then now your grit gets tested. Like, do you have what it takes to endure this separation period? I'm being forced to separate from my spouse. This might be the first time I've been separated from my spouse or my significant other. And I didn't want to do it, but now I'm out here, and we know that marriage especially is a bonding.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime you separate, you're separating from that bond.
Yep.
It's like glue and gluing something down. And so when you separate that glue from that substance, now it's kind of feeling a little free, but at the same time, it also may feel a little unstable. And in that instability on the road to feeling stable, you have to be careful what routes you take.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was saying. Again, so you can use the glue. I'll use the Slinky. I know everybody grew up having, people should have grown up having a Slinky. If you didn't, I'm so sorry. Childhood ruined. Well, the Slinky, back in the day, we used to take the Slinky and we would push it down the stairs, because on the commercial, you push it down the stairs and you would watch it open and close, go down the stairs. That's kind of how marriage is sometimes. Sometimes you have to open, not like open up, have open marriages. Please don't quote me on that.
Really
sometimes you have to open. What I mean by the Slinky has to open, right? Slinky has to open to see how much it can be stretched, right? Mm-hmm. And back in the day, when you open the Slinky too far, the things cranked out and they never became the same. You can never close them back up together. And those are the things that the roadblocks that get in your way. If you're in a short-term relationship and you go out and, you say, I'm gonna go, like you said, the glue starts wiggle away. You go and say, I'm gonna go contact this guy that just reached out to me on Facebook, I'm gonna go and meet up with him because he offered to take me out to eat. Okay, that's in short term. That's because there's something going on there that made that glue wiggle. Now, as you get older, if you do that, that's short term relationship. Again, short term, if you do that, could have short term repercussions. Okay, because first off, was that agreed upon between you and the person that you separated from for short term? What are the do's and don'ts? What are the no zones? What are the yes zones? That's what we would say. But that is something that when you have trouble marriages. So I'll give you an example. About 2 years ago, before Shantae's mom moved in with us, we had an issue, and in that issue, we talked about short-term separations, which would have been me moving upstairs or going to stay with my sister. That was the short-term things. But in that, I personally went on I did the Fireproof Challenge, which if y'all don't know what Fireproof is, it's a movie that was made in my hometown, Albany, Georgia, by Sherwood Christian Academy. They made this movie called Fireproof, and it's a very powerful movie. And I did that because even though I wasn't as damaged as the person in the movie was, I saw some areas in my life that I needed to work on.
But you also said just give it, 60 days? I couldn't remember how long it was.
It was 30 days.
30 days?
It was
you
30 days.
Give it 30 days, and then at the end of the 30 days, you still don't feel like, comfortable, then we will consider a separation.
Right.
And so I gave it 30 days.
Right.
And by the end of the 30 days, it was better.
Right.
And it's not done anything but continuously gotten better. So
right.
I do think, like I said, for us.
But we also didn't separate. We also stayed in the same room. We probably slept back to back a few times, but we talked. I think that sometimes when people want to separate, they don't think about the talking aspect.
But there are certain things, that, because I don't want to get too much into not separating, because that's not what we're talking about, separation. So
we can talk about.
I do think that you have some people out there who have been hurt, and who have suffered some loss and things like that. And what advice can you give them? I think for us, even though we have not been separated, you said some key things. One thing is, no matter whether you want to separate or you want to stay together, like, you have to communicate that. You have to talk it out. You have to understand why you're separating. And like I said, sometimes it's work. Sometimes work puts you away. But no matter what, I think you have to leave the lines of communication open. And not only that, I think that we have to say to ourselves, okay, we are separating. What are the boundaries around this separation?
Right.
Whether it's a work separation, whether it is a personal separation, all those different kind of things. I think that we personally have to come to an agreement, or not us, but whoever it is in the relationship has to come to an agreement. What are the boundaries?
Right.
What are we saying that we are going to do? What are we saying we're not going to do? All those kind of things. Because I think, like you're saying, when you separate that glue, that bonding, when you separate that, you have to be very careful, because when that happens,
the fly trap.
It's things out there that you can be sucked into. So it's important that you have boundaries around it, so that okay, it's something over there and I don't need to go.
Right.
And so those things. And so I think that that's truly what helps: communication and boundaries, and also putting a time limit. We're only going to be separated for 30 days. We're only going to be separated for, and then we're going to come back to the table, and we're going to, and why? And again, why are we separating? Like you said, are we separated just because we don't like each other? Because guess what? I might not like you today, and I might like you tomorrow. But if it's because, right now I need to get my head right, you know what I'm saying? And I can't, and it's nothing like that I'm saying that you did wrong, but I need to get my head together to be a better version of myself for you. I think that's a good reason to separate, if you feel like it's going to help.
Yeah.
But there should be some guidelines around how long we're going to stay separated, where we going on our separations, all these things, So I do think it's possible, but it has to be done with some mature individuals that have made a decision that this is what we're going to do and this is how long we're going to be separated.
Now,
And this is why.
yes, now that is the marriage part, relationship part.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have situations where because we have an active daughter who's in school, who's active in extracurricular activities. So dad works, mom subs at school, and now mom is like super sub. That's what I call her. She's a super sub now. She has the cape. She put the cape on. Now we're just waiting on her to buckle that cape in. Okay. This year, first tournament was the first time that mom ever had to take on the challenge of taking Kaden down to her first tournament by herself, short-term separation. And I had to kind of like reel her in and tell her like, no, mom, you're super mom. Like, you got it. You're gonna be okay. And we had a good support system. We had Nick Wash and other people from the softball team that were like there for them. My mother-in-law went. And I was able to get there, but I got there right at the end of the tournament, which was a great thing. But it's preparing us for when Kaden has to fly out of state and I have to work all week until the weekend, and then I can get my plane ticket to fly to them.
So you're saying certain separations prepare you for bigger separations?
Certain separations prepare you for bigger separations because
that are needed.
That has to happen because
mm-hmm.
there are times in life where you can't be in all places at one time, and
mm-hmm.
The one thing my mentor says is that Kaden has a great support system. She has her mom and her dad who support her. So our goal at all times is to be there for her for everything. But there's gonna be times where I gotta work and where mom has to go. Or it's gonna be times where both of us have to do something. We have to trust somebody on the team to take her with them.
Mm-hmm.
But in that, we're building a relationship with people to know that when that does have to happen, short-term separation, it's only gonna be for a day or for a few hours. It's never gonna be for extended amounts of time right now.
So you practice it.
You practice the short terms.
You practice separating. I mean, anytime you get up and go to work and school, you're separating. And then
all the short term.
All of it, yeah. Short term, I would consider anything from 6 months and below, as far as separation is concerned. And
I ain't gonna say that's short term.
I would.
I'm gonna say short term for me is 30 days or less. And the reason why I'm gonna say that is because you might as well say 2-3 months, 6 months long term. And the reason why is because in that time it gives you more time to get in more trouble. And that's what I'm gonna say. But
like I said, if you choose to, well, I get what you're saying, the more time you're out there, the more opportunity you have, right?
Well,
but if you come to an agreement of how long it's gonna be, I think that, and you have those boundaries in place. I'm not saying that anything will happen, but I think that it can be accomplished. And I do think, like I said, especially because what are we trying to avoid here? I feel like what you're trying to avoid is separation anxiety. So if you can get to a point of knowing that separation is not a bad thing, right? It's not a bad thing. Then you can say to yourself, okay, when it's time for me to do X, Y, and Z, I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
I can do it, and it won't be as hard. We have a lot of big things coming up. Kaden will be going to college soon, and you want to move with her.
Well,
but if that is that separation,
well, she's going to college in 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
So that gives me enough time. Look, I don't want to live with her, but if she goes to if she goes to any of the states that I want to go to, especially Florida or Texas, which are tax-free, military-friendly states, I am gone. The reason why is because, I hate to say it, I didn't want to move to Georgia in the first place. So, that's just being honest. That's just being honest.
Fair enough.
That's
Fair
just being
enough.
honest. Like for me, I didn't want to move to Georgia in the first place. Like I wanted to go to Florida, to Orlando, Kissimmee area, but you know, when certain jobs offer you certain money, you end up where the job is going to pay you the most.
Yeah, that's
So,
true.
but now,
So you
Kaden,
gonna retire? Is that what you trying to do?
if I go to Florida, if I go somewhere where, no, I don't think I'm gonna retire. I think I am gonna do something, but I don't think I'm going to be in a position where I can't be there to support her. I'll probably like go forward with my own business and like continue and train and all those other kind of things. But I don't think I would do anything to where I could not be there to support her, especially if she's athletically still playing sports. Like I want to be able to get in the Winnebago and be like, hey, we're going to Arizona and we're going to see her. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't want to be in a position where I cannot be there because I'm seeing the pitfalls that happen when you're not there and you're not able to like grab a hold to your family members or your kids when you need to, from being separated from a long period of time, from being extendedly separated. So this is our only one. So I want to make sure that wherever she goes, that if she needs to lay her head down at night or if she needs a break, that she has a bed and somewhere to lay. She doesn't have to fly there. She just has to drive up the road probably an hour or two, and she has somewhere to lay her head down at. That's what I'm making sure of. But I may not have to sell my house here, but I may be able to just rent or lease it. But wherever I go, I plan on staying. I don't plan on coming back. So
separation is something that is, necessary. I think you
yeah,
can say that, whether it be
short term or long term.
short term or long term. There are instances where separation is necessary. We talked about some benefits of separation. Like, I didn't talk about my benefit. My benefit is that I get cool gifts.
Yeah. Yes. Whenever I go somewhere, I always bring Shante something back. Like her and Kaden. If Kaden's not with me, like Kaden went, she got the doggone space camp jacket because she was the pilot on the USS Apollo space shuttle that crashed, because she crashed the space shuttle.
Oh God.
but we brought back, whenever we go somewhere, we bring back magnets. So I brought back a magnet. Katie brought back her space jacket.
And I got my Buc-ee's cup.
And she got her Buc-ee's cup. So we're big Buc-ee's people.
Yeah.
Since, we've been traveling up and down through Georgia, we try to make sure we stop by Buc-ee's, and I get the barbecue sandwich, and Shante gets her barbecue sandwich, and Katie gets her beaver nuggets. So we enjoy being married and being together and doing everything together, because sometimes as you get older, unless you have a real close-knit group of friends, your spouse is normally the one that you tend to do everything with. And when you have kids, that's the person you end up imparting the things that you do on. So like for me, I know Shante is afraid to get on like
we've already
not roller coasters. I'm not gonna say roller. She's not a thrill seeker. So for me,
I hate you keep doing me like this.
She's not a thrill seeker.
What are you doing to me?
Our short-term separation may be me taking Kaden out on a jet ski or parasailing or something like that. But then I know or me taking her hunting or fishing, because I know my wife is not going to do it. So
Kaden's not doing it either.
Kaden will go and shoot. Kaden will go and fish.
Yes, fish.
Kaden will go and do parasailing.
Yes.
Kaden will go do that stuff with her dad. Now, Mama is going to be on the side taking pictures.
Yeah, I love it.
But Dad is going to be experienced. Dad is going to be taking Kaden to experience things that she needs to experience, because she may meet somebody that does all those things, and I'm not going to let her be off to the side, be like, I'm scared. No, you're going to go do it. Liquid courage.
Listen, okay. We have discussed
short-term separation.
How are you overcoming it? How are we overcoming it? How do we overcome it?
Well,
we actually were on a separation when we first got married.
Yeah, 9 months.
It took communication. It took boundaries. It took understanding.
Yeah, it did.
And it took a lot of patience and a lot of love
that was
for
the
us
first.
to get out of that.
Yeah,
So yeah, we
our-
want to just.
Our first 9 months of marriage, I was in Florida and she was in Virginia.
Mhm.
And that was hard because you do have people. I will tell you this, I cut off a lot of friends and I cut off a lot of people in the 9 month span of us being separated because I realized that sometimes sometimes people are not happy for your happiness.
I agree. And
so you have to kind of like you have to sometimes take the concrete street sweeper and just go through it and just hope that the people that you love and the people that you care about don't get caught up in the street sweeper, because sometimes you have to realize that everybody ain't there for your happiness. And sometimes you have to realize that counseling works, and that sometimes you have to sit down with somebody before the other person will, and if the other person won't, then that's your time for separation. Mm-hmm. That's just being honest. Short-term separation also gives you time to go and sit down with a counselor and figure out what you want to figure out life. Mm-hmm. And if that person that you're with does not want to sit down with a counselor also, mm-hmm. then that may be just showing you that, okay, this short-term situation of separation, and they don't want to get help either, then it's time for us to kind of really like separate. Because if they're not getting help and I'm getting help, then we got a problem. Yeah. So, and sometimes getting help does not always mean counseling. Sometimes getting help means acknowledging the fact that you got a problem and researching and figuring out what that problem is. And then also taking that separation time when you get home or when you do whatever, go read a book, or better yourself, mm-hmm. go fishing, mm-hmm. sit down and quiet. Because sometimes you get off of work, your mind is going 1,001 miles per hour, and you need a way to, you need something extracurricular, not Call of Duty, that makes you matter. You need something a little bit more extracurricular to calm your mind down. So.
All right. So we left them with some good nuggets today.
Beaver nuggets.
Beaver nuggets. Okay, whatever. All right, we will close out a prayer, y'all. You ready? Mm-hmm. You ready?
You praying.
Oh my gosh. Okay, y'all.
You know you doing it.
Father God, in the name of Jesus, we come. We say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. For any of our friends that are going through separation, whether it's mandated or whether it's voluntary, Lord, we ask that you please give them guidance. We ask that some of these words that we said will resonate in their hearts and in their spirits so that they can move forward and be successful in all of their endeavors. We bless you and we praise you and we lift your name on high. We thank you for everything that you've done. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Next week, y'all, come on back. We're going to be talking about them relationships.
Your kids.
With these teenage, teenage relationships. So
teenage relationships.
Dating. All this stuff.
Your kids and their relationships. Dating experiences, boys or girls.
Yes.
That's
and the pros and cons of it all. So come on back next week. I think we're gonna start doing Mondays. I like Mondays.
The reason why some of the parents do not have hair. That's what we're gonna name that one.
Yes.
The reason why some parents don't have hair.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. We'll talk to y'all later. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Bye. Okie dokie.
You gotta finish it here. Uh-huh.